wouldn't it be nice to have several thought leaders in your industry know and love your brand? Start a podcast. Invite your industry's thought leaders to be guests on your show, and start reaping the benefits of having a network full of industry influencers. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm Jonathan Green.
And I'm James Carberry.
Let's get into the show. Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. Today we are joined by Addie Swartz. Addie is the CEO of reacHire. Addie, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Jonathan.
I'm excited about today's episode, today's topic. I think it's extremely, the timing is right. It's extremely topical. We needed to have you on the show to talk about this today. We're going to be talking about closing the corporate gender gap and the 5 strategies for keeping women in the game, which is perfect. But before, of course, we get into the topic today, maybe you can tell our audience a little about what you and the reacHire team are up to these days.
Sure. So we have been working really hard at creating a pathway for women to get back to the workforce. Women who have taken time off, as well as women who have been underutilized in their jobs. So really trying to optimize people's roles professionally and focusing on women.
Perfect. And so, I mean, you're obviously the right person to bring on the show today and talk to us about this idea of closing the corporate gender gap. This is your area of expertise. It's certainly the year to take a look at women in the workplace. So why don't we start off by, how do you think the conversation has changed for women and work over even the past year?
Well, it really has. A big underscore there. Over the past year, we've seen just how important it is for women's voices to be heard. And women are asking for much more than they have before. And what they're asking for isn't unreasonable. They're asking for gender equality in the workplace, gender equality in the boardroom, in the C-suite. We're seeing more and more women are going to raise their hand to go after positions in government. And women are tired of waiting for gender parity across all levels. So definitely 2018 is the year of the woman, and the time is now.
Mm-hmm. I know you had at least just a couple of statistics that you had prepared. Maybe we can share some of those with our listeners.
Sure. It's really crazy to think this, but they say that at the rate we're going with women in corporate America, that it'll take 100 years to achieve gender parity in the C-suite. That's 100 years. And actually, if you break that down a bit, the barriers to gender equality at the workforce start really early, almost at the beginning of a career. So when you look at some of the statistics, it shows that 130 men are being promoted to manager for every 100 women that are promoted. That's a huge difference. So even at that first level of promotion, men are being promoted at a significantly higher rate than women. Then as women progress through that pipeline, the gap widens even more, so that as you get to the C-suite, today, senior executives at that level only represent 24% that are female. And that's in the top 1,000 U.S. companies by revenue. So what's unfortunate is that at every level of the pipeline, women are dripping out. And as they move into leadership roles, we see less and less female leadership. That actually has negative repercussions for the younger women coming up earlier in their career, because they don't see role models they can aspire to. And so that's not helpful for them either. The irony of all of this is that all the research shows that companies with diverse leadership outperform other companies. And so, statistically, having companies financially perform 15% better in bottom line profitability because they've got diversity is a great fact, but it's not being replicated in getting the women into the roles and having the women succeed in the roles and then move up the food chain. So the time is now to pick up the pace and get more women, not only at that first level of promotion, but moving up the pipeline. Because there certainly are plenty of women now, almost equally, that are coming into the workforce right out of college and graduate school. So we have plenty of women to pull from, more than we've ever had before, and it's almost 50-50, but we're not seeing that growth and that progression that we should be seeing.
Yeah. Whatever your personal feelings may be, I like that you can point to the facts, like look at the bottom line, like showing that your company is underperforming because of your shortage of female talent. So one of the things that we love to do, Addie, on the show is, of course, provide our listeners with some actionable advice, things that they can, we like to talk conceptually, but also, hey, what can I do today? So what are some specific initiatives, Addie, that you think companies should consider implementing maybe to change the imbalance for women in the workplace?
So I think there are 5 specific things that companies can do to make it better for women to be attracted to their companies, stay in their companies, and grow within their companies. Number 1, they need to pay more attention to childcare costs and the logistics around it, because, childcare in and of itself is a significant burden for any family, and flexible schedules, adjusting meeting times, ensuring professionals have ample time to pick up children from remote locations, even subsidizing expenses or offering childcare services on site. Companies just need to pay attention to more of these things that are benefits that can really make a difference in meeting a woman halfway and a family halfway. So that's number 1, paying more attention to childcare costs and logistics. Number 2, really considering paid family leave. I believe paid family leave offers this critical glue for both men and women. And if you look at the data in 2017, nearly 1 in 4 Americans had to take leave from work to care for a family member with a serious health condition. That's nearly 25% of the workforce that had to take time off because there was a serious health condition. So, if you had some paid family leave, that would offer some, almost a Band-Aid to sort of help those families bridge the gap in times of crisis. And also, that paid family leave is open to both men and women. So it really helps to sort of give that more equal division of caregiving tasks across both, the husband and the wife.
Mm-hmm. And Addie, I want to just jump in really quick. I feel like I want to ask a question that is, some of these things seem to lean more into this is going to cost me more money. But is this in the long run still going to map to positive revenue? I think I just feel like it kind of like, is that like a real concern? Is there an answer to that?
Well, I think that companies are going to have to meet their employees more in the middle as we go forward. We're at an all-time low for unemployment. Talent is really tight, and it's easy for someone to jump from one company to another given the needs that they have. And so there's a cost associated with some of this. There's also, just offering flexibility. So being more flexible if somebody has a pipe that bursts or, has a childcare issue that, comes to the fore and someone has to race off to school because there was an accident. So there's a piece of flexibility that doesn't cost anything outright, and just a mindset of how do I meet my employees halfway in order to have them feel that I care for them and I'm nurturing them and I want them to be part of my corporate family.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. So I didn't mean to cut you off. I know you had 5 things that you were going to be talking about. More attention to the child care costs and logistics, considering paid family leave. What was number 3?
So number 3 is men need to get more involved and invested. They have to be part of the equation. And as we know, there are many more male senior leaders in corporations. So, they need to be part of the conversation, and male leaders need to reach down and find, great, talented, professional females who they can sponsor to move up the corporate ladder. So I believe that just getting more men involved in the conversation is a critical piece, and companies have begun, many innovative companies have begun to have those conversations to make sure that, we're all helping each other. Number 4 is the focus that, I think that companies need to pay more attention to even that promotion at the first level, creating more concrete programs and pathways to advance women. So, one of the issues that women have faced and identified is that they're not getting challenging enough assignments that are visible enough in order to move ahead. And even at that first level, if men are getting promoted 18% more than women, early on in your career, women are dropping out, and they're dropping out for other alternatives. They may not be going to another company. They may start their own company because they're frustrated that they didn't have the challenge, the opportunity, and the pay that they felt that they deserved. Mm-hmm. Number 5, and what we can do is that, I really believe this focus on attracting and retaining talented women is critical. So we really need to put the building blocks in place to think about it not as a linear highway, not a straight line that exists with no exits, no rest stops, no on and off ramps, but something where, careers move and swerve, and they, move to the left and take a little pit stop, and then, go up a little bit and then move to the right. And if companies are able to have conversations and grow the women into continually challenging and opportunistic roles, then we'll have more women in the pipeline. Those women and more women in the pipeline will beget more women that are able to go move up the pipeline. And that way, I think we'll have more gender balance and more equity overall.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think that's a perfect breakdown. Those sort of 5 concrete ways, these changes that companies can consider implementing, which is perfect. And we're going to kind of wrap up today's episode, Addie, with one of our new favorite questions on the B2B Growth Show. And, I'll just put it out there. What is, Addie, the legacy that you want to leave behind, either professionally or personally, or even a combination of the two?
Yeah, well, I've spent the last 25 years as an entrepreneur, as a woman, and as a mother of 2 daughters, building companies focused on empowering women and girls to be the best they can be and to reach their greatest potential. So I feel with reacHire, it's come full circle because I really want to stand for great women having great opportunity, maximizing their potential, and making a difference in whatever area they're able to contribute. And that's what I believe my legacy is.
That's beautiful. Beautifully said. Again, we've been talking with Addie Swartz, the CEO of reacHire. Addie, if any of our listeners, if anyone in our audience wants to actually reach out to you after today's episode and they want to talk about today's topic, they want to find out more about reacHire, or they just want to connect with you personally, what's the best way for them to go about doing that?
Oh, a variety of ways. Well, certainly you can check our website out. It's www.reacHire.com. REACHIRE.com. You can find us. Our Twitter handle is reacHire2. You can link in with me, Addie Swartz on LinkedIn, and we'd love to start a conversation. We want to continue to work with companies and women to empower women, empower companies to do much better in equity and equality in the workforce.
Perfect. Addie, again, thank you so much for your time today. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks so much, Jonathan.
There are lots of ways to build a community, and we've chosen to build the B2B growth community through this podcast. But because of the way podcasts work, it's really hard to engage with our listeners. And without engagement, it's tough to build a great community. So here's what we've decided to do. We're organizing small dinners across the country with our listeners and guests. No sales pitches, no agenda, just great conversations with like-minded people. We'll talk business, we'll talk family, we'll talk goals and dreams. We'll build friendships. So if you'd like to be a part of a B2B growth dinner in a city near you, go to b2bgrowthdinners.com. That's b2bgrowthdinners.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.